Is it pride, negligence, naivety, maybe ignorance? There's an epidemic right now of small businesses that are closing down rather than selling when they can. The Small Business Administration estimates that out of about 3 million small businesses that try to sell every year, only about 1 in 5.5 are actually successful. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not easy to sell a business, but I think the biggest cause of this is that small business owners are not getting the help that they need when they try to do this. And no matter what it is that's causing this, it's really sad and it's causing these business owners a lot of problems. Now, one of the first steps in selling your business is figuring out what it's worth, what's its value. And in this video, I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can get other people to do that for you. Save yourself the time and the work and get to action. And if you don't know me yet, I'm Brody Vinson. I've sold a couple small businesses myself, and I now consult other small business owners on how to get their businesses sold. So like I said, one of the first steps in selling your business is getting it valuated, which is just a fancy way of saying figuring out what it's worth and getting some proof. Now, in a way, this is like studying for a big test in school. And like in school, if you don't prepare and if you don't study, you're probably going to fail the test, or at least not do as well as you would have if you had studied. And the more you study, the better you do, or the more you'll sell your business for. Now, if you didn't like school and you didn't like studying, I didn't either. And luckily you don't need to worry, because unlike school, you can have other people study and do your homework for you here. So I'm going to give you 3 different ways that you can have other people do this homework and studying for you and make you better off on this test. Now, there's a lot of different approaches on valuating a business. Not all buyers will look for or appreciate the same one. So it's important to understand the full picture of your valuation by getting it done a few different ways and having multiple perspectives to speak on. In other words, let's put it like this. We're studying for one big essay question on the test. We need to know what to write on the essay question on the test, and we need to practice writing that. But we don't know exactly how the question is going to be asked. But the great part is that the test is going to be open notes and we know the topic ahead of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a few different people write the essay for us ahead of time. They're all going to write a little bit different version of the essay. And we're going to take all of those in on test day, compare the notes, and use the best parts of each, depending on how the question is asked, so that we nail this thing. So the first person that most small business owners can go to get a valuation of their business is their CPA or tax preparer. Now, if you're not already working with a CPA, you're probably doing taxes yourself, or God forbid your IRS agent is listening to this, not up to date in the first place. If that is you, I can't really help you, and you need to just go get that shit fixed ASAP. For those of us who are working with a CPA, you might be doing the bare minimum and just having them file your taxes correctly, yearly, on time, and this is fine. Maybe you're even having them keep up-to-date income statements and balance sheets even more often than yearly. And if this is you, props to you, you're even ahead of the curve. But here's something you're probably not doing. When sold, most small businesses are actually sold on a valuation that uses an adjusted version of their net profit. What this does is it removes unusual one-time expenses or revenue sources. These are ones that are determined to be discretionary or not usual to the usual operations of the business. So what you can do to get a leg up on this process and be way more prepared is ask your CPA to also create an adjusted version of your income statement to account for things like this. This gives a more accurate valuation of the business's net earnings every year. Now, the great thing is this is not going to be a ton of extra work for them. In reality, there probably won't be a ton of things like this, and they'll be able to start with the one that they already have. But this can give you a much more accurate picture to be able to negotiate your business's value. Now, this is the essay that is straight to the facts, cold, hard numbers, straight up valuation stuff. In reality, though, valuation of small businesses is an art and a science, and this side is only the science. Now, the next person that you can lean on to get a valuation of your business is a financial advisor. And not all financial advisors will do this, but the good ones will. Mine does. Shout out Steve. So you can actually have your financial advisor create a valuation of your business using something called compound annual growth rate, or CAGR. Or you could also look up how to do this on your own. So you would have them take the CAGR and then compare that to common industry benchmarks. And a lot of financial advisors will have some kind of database that they can access to be able to create a valuation sheet like this. Mine actually has a proprietary system that is available at his firm that he's able to use to put together a full valuation sheet with stuff like this. And this ultimately just helps you with the negotiation process because you can actually back up your data. Now, if you already work with a financial advisor, this is a good time to check in on just what it would take to meet your financial goals overall in a business sale, because this is an important aspect of this. And you don't really want to sell and put yourself in a position where you're not going to meet your personal financial goals. What this will do is give you a better idea going into any negotiations with the buyer of terms that you're able to accept and the amount of cash that you actually need on a month-to-month or yearly basis to actually feel good about this sale and be okay. Now, in reality, these types of valuations are going to be a little bit more of an optimistic picture than most, and they might be a little bit overinflated. This is because they're based largely on growth potential. Know this going in, but this does help you with negotiations. So the financial advisor is writing you the type of essay that answers the questions with real data, but it also adds a lot of fluff. And sometimes fluff can help depending on who's grading the paper. In other words, this is where a little bit more of the art starts getting added in with the science that we talked about before. Now, another type of person that you can go to get help valuating your business is a business broker. Most business brokers will probably help you evaluate your business for free if you're serious about selling it at some point, or if you at least convince them that you are. And this is just because they're interested in getting your business. They're interested in you going through them to sell it because they would make a commission for helping you do so. For this type of work, you might need to fit some of their criteria. For example, some of them only work with businesses that are doing $500,000 a year or so in net profit. These are kind of the higher end ones, but there's brokers at all different stages. So talk to a bunch to figure out the right one. Now, if you are in this range, you're what's called a pretty competitive item in the world of business brokerage, which means a lot of them want your business. I recommend using this to your advantage. You should talk to as many of them as you can and interview them on the way that they evaluate businesses so that you can pick up common trends and also gauge just how much experience they have in your actual industry and what types of buyers they might have available. Now, a really good benefit of talking to business brokers is they sell businesses all the time. So they have usually the most up-to-date and in the trenches info of what businesses like yours might actually be selling for on a literal day-to-day basis like that year. So this is going to be maybe the most accurate information. This person will likely write you the best essay, but they're probably going to want to copy off of some of the answers of the other one's essays first. And this is just because they write a lot of essays for people all the time. They don't have time to really put all the work into writing one. So if you can have the other ones written first, this one will be even better. This essay is probably going to combine everything and is probably going to have the best combination of art and science. And ultimately, that just means you have the most supporting research to be able to make your point. In other words, more negotiating power with a buyer or multiple buyers. So if you think back to school, what if you could have had an ethical, legal, and legitimate way to cheat off all the nerds in class, have the best possible essay without doing any of the research or the thinking yourself? Wouldn't you have taken that chance? Wouldn't things have been a lot easier if you did? So make it easier and do this now. Take some action. Get other people to do this on your behalf. And drop this video a like if you got any value. Share it with other business owners. Now, if you are working towards selling your business at some point, whether it be tomorrow, a year from now, 5 years from now, I'm always happy to answer any questions. So drop them in the comments. Find me on Instagram at brodyvinson.io and send me a message. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have or at least help you get pointed in the right direction. Happy value building.